Greetings from Dallas, Texas. I'm here for our Nerium convention. I'm very excited about hooking up with my Nerium family. And before I go out and play, I wanted to go ahead and do my blog so that I could share it with you. And wanting to talk about emotions, which is a crazy, crazy subject, especially for us women. It seems like that we're filled with more emotion than men. But then again, I've seen some men who are pretty crazy with emotions. But do you ever feel like sometimes you're a slave to emotions? I know I have. And the question is really real. Are you a slave to your emotions? And who should you listen to? Who is right? The feelings of the heart, mental and emotional feelings, what you see. How can we trust any of these channels that each of us have inside? It's not easy. It's frustrating and very difficult to know. The only way that we learn this is through trial and error of living each day, going through the things that we go through. I find it so amazing that certain situations in life, they make the heart feel one way. And you have this strong, deep passion, yet what you're feeling doesn't match up with what you're seeing. And then what you're seeing doesn't match up with what makes sense. So it's like, who do you know? What are you supposed to go with? And what's true? Which one do you follow? Then there's that whole gut feeling that goes on, something that's completely different. This can be applied to anything in life, these emotions and these feelings. You know, a lot of people will use it and they will say that it has to do with boy meets girl or, you know, love relationships. It's just so not that at all. There's so many different things. This can be applied to everything in life, from business to college, buying a new home, first day of school, dating, marriage, raising a family, your journey in life. Have you ever been in love with a music band? A group that you just have made incredible memories with their music? And years, you've known these songs, you've loved these bands, and then one day you actually get to see what they look like and you're blown away because what you felt, what you envisioned in your mind, and then what you're seeing with the eye, none of it matches up, correct? Been there and done that many times. Another situation, I remember when my family was young and we wanted to raise our children in a smaller, more personable community. So we decided to leave San Diego, California, and we moved to Missouri. And when we were looking for a house, all I cared about was one thing, and that was that we had land for our boys to play, run, and discover on. And so we found this little tiny house, and it was so cute. We call it the crooked house because everything was crooked. You'd lay an egg on the counter, and it would roll off. So we went to look at it, and John was on the inside looking at everything, you know, structurally and all this kind of stuff. And he was like, "Pam, aren't you going to come in the house and look?" And I'm like, "Absolutely not. I don't even care what it looks like. I can fix all that up. All I care about is there's 2 acres of land here for our boys to discover." I was filled with crazy, awesome emotions that our children were going to be able to have, you know, land like this. They built a boys club, and they made a sign that said "No girls allowed," and it was just great. It was awesome. We lived there 7 years, and reality set in. It didn't take long. It didn't take long at all for reality to set in that, yeah, there were some things that I probably should have checked out on the inside, but truly and honestly, I wouldn't change any of it because our greatest memories are from that little crooked white house. And you can talk to my boys. They will tell you the same thing. It was truly the White House. I could go on and on and on with all kinds of stories like that, and you have your own, but you understand what I'm trying to say. So how do we trust these feelings and emotions when they come? My opinion, you don't. My opinion, you do. It's a part of the process of life. You start learning and ciphering out the difference between the intellect, the mental, the emotional, the physical, all of this kind of stuff. And you start learning yourself. You start learning what's real and what's not. They're crazy emotions, but they're real, and yet they're not. Sometimes your heart's telling you something that doesn't match up. Sometimes you need to listen to this much more than you listen to this, and vice versa. Sometimes what you see and you're like, no way, and it really is, whatever the situation is. So the way that you learn this is by living each day and going through life experiences. There's no way that college or anything like that could ever teach you about life experiences. You have to go through it. You have to experience it. Then you get to learn who you are. Then you have to be honest and you have to be real with yourself. And you have to say, no, this is not true. It doesn't matter what I'm feeling inside here. This is not real. This is not true. And you have to turn it off. You have to let it go. Not always easy. But one thing I did discover is when I turned 40, it was much easier. I don't know why. It was just crazy. I guess I felt comfortable with myself. I didn't have a problem saying no. It was what it was, and I was okay with it. And I was able to talk to myself, and I was able to be real with myself. And the voice that comes in your head and tells you these things, I would say, no, that's not real. That's not how it is. I learned that through trial and error of life discovery. So it's not always an easy thing to be real with yourself. But I will tell you this one thing, you have to be. You don't want somebody else to be real with you on their opinion. You know yourself better than anybody else. And so it's very, very important that you do. And so when you know that your mind's just blowing things out of proportion, be honest with yourself and say, I am not giving in to this. Absolutely not. This is a part of the process of life. And as you do this, you start learning your real, true emotions, feelings, the realities. And little by little it gets easier and you understand yourself more and more. And you start becoming very comfortable in your own skin. You can say to yourself, no, that's just crazy. Emotions. And I'm not going there. I'm just turning that channel off. I remember a story that was told to me as I was a young girl, and it has stuck with me forever. And it actually was a pastor's wife, and she said that she was greeting everybody as they came in the door, and there was this one lady that came in, and she put her hand out. She was very nice, and she, was greeting her, and she just passed right by her, and she took off, and she didn't even give her one bit of acknowledgement that she was there. The pastor's wife felt so hurt, and she was just like, why? Why would she act that way with me? Why would she, on and on and on. There it went. This, what she's seen, everything. And so she just decided, you know what? I'm going to go in and I'm going to talk with her. She's seen her go into the bathroom because that was very disrespectful. So she had planned everything out in her head, what she was going to say. She walked into the bathroom to talk with her. And here was the lady. She was splashing water upon her face, and she was white as a ghost. And she said, I am so sorry. I couldn't stop and shake your hand, she said. But I had to hurry and get to the bathroom because I threw up. As the pastor's wife stood there, all this stuff, just emotions, crazy emotions, like, oh my gosh, I prejudged, I this, I that, all this kind of stuff. So what she's seen, what she felt, all this stuff, none of it was even real. None of it. So you have to be very, very careful. Very careful, especially when you're in a situation of crisis, depression. You have to decipher out what's real and what's not. No one else can learn these things but yourself. It does. It sucks. We as mothers, sometimes we're really, really bad, and we even handicap our children because we do so much for them, and I'm very guilty of that. But there's an enjoyment that comes to a mother when she's able to do that for her children, but there's just some things we cannot do. It's a road that you have to walk down. You have to learn it yourself. You have to go through it. But when you go through it and you learn that, then you pass the test and you have to take it over again. I don't care if you pass it with a D or a C. If you pass the test, you don't have to take the test again. If there's anything at all that I've learned, that is a big one. So whatever it is that you're going through, whatever emotions that you're feeling, sit down. Write the pros and cons down. Draw a line down your page and say the pros and the cons. Are these emotions real? Blah, 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 blah. Put it all down and be real with yourself. And then say, you know what? I'm gonna deal with this. I'm gonna go through with it. Then you're done with it. It doesn't just keep coming back again and again and again. I read something that says, the Greeks believed that the heart was the seat of the spirit. The Egyptians believed that the heart was the center of emotions and the intellect. The Chinese believed that the heart was the center of happiness. I'm asking, what do you believe?